rebuilding. The catastrophic failure, a new start. Physically, mentally, our careers, our businesses. Step back, first step, next step. The driver in me just wants to get it done tomorrow. We'll do this, do that, let's move this, where are we at with this? You build some confidence, build some self-esteem, start to feel better about yourself. The Silverback Blueprint Podcast, a show for men over 40. We focus on getting stronger, staying motivated, building discipline, creating a community, and becoming truly happy. All right. Blast off, as Luke said. That's crazy, man. We're getting all the lingo. We're like the coolest two guys in my basement office. I keep looking over to the camera because I recorded one earlier, and I'm like, the camera's not on, idiot. So, guys, welcome to episode 50. Milestone. Crazy. Kind of. Anyway, today's podcast, guys, I want to talk about testosterone, right? I've kind of not really broached the subject because it's a super important subject. And I want to talk about getting, your mental stuff going and getting your head straight and working on some specific things that you can do to really start getting yourself ready to keep improving. But one of the key things, guys, that is a super big factor, especially over 40. The science out there is saying over 35. And I think even now we're seeing even younger than that because of lifestyle and environment. It's our testosterone levels. Guys, testosterone, the male hormone, makes us guys. And as we get older, our testosterone levels, or, for a cooler term, our T levels, will decline. They'll decline for a number of reasons. Some of it is age, but it really doesn't have to be. We're going to get into that a little bit. Most of it, I'll tell you right now, guys, is lifestyle-based, lifestyle-driven. Just like diabetes, right? You got the type 2 diabetes. Is that the one that's a lifestyle one? I always get that wrong. Type 1 is where you have to take the injections. You were born with an insulin issue and stuff like that. And, you can adjust how you do things to make it better, but you're kind of stuck with that a lot in life. But when we talk about type 2 diabetes, very much a lifestyle-driven issue overall that can be corrected with nutrition and can be corrected with exercise and being healthier, right? And legitimately does, like sometimes within 90 days if you start correcting some things, right? Well, I'll tell you right now, guys, when it comes to testosterone, very much the same thing overall, right? A couple of things that, we're going to do it layman style because I'm not big on the technical scientific terms and jargon for everything and stuff. It's not that I don't know it. I want to make it so that we can understand it on a day-to-day level. And so testosterone, it's a hormone in our body. Our testicles produce it. It's signaled by different glands in our body when to fire it up. But when that happens, certain things have to be ready and we have to be in certain state for maximal production overall, right? Testosterone is what burns fat. Testosterone is what builds muscle. Testosterone is what actually helps men just feel better mentally. The guy factor, as I often call it, right? All those things are super dependent on testosterone. So if testosterone is super important for us, the one that we really want to watch and avoid and limit is estrogen, the female hormone. Now, with the ladies out there, we want their estrogen levels to be higher and we want their testosterone levels to be lower. And yes, women have testosterone, but in much smaller amounts. That's why, when women are worried about building way too much muscle naturally and stuff like that, it won't happen. They don't have enough testosterone naturally for it to hold that kind of muscle mass, right? So for guys, though, it's the opposite. We need testosterone, right? Now, we hit our puberty, starts happening around 13, 14. They say maximizes around in our early to mid 20s. I know, Luke, you started puberty when you were 4, and you're just tailing off of it now. So you've been genetically blessed with that. But for the rest of us, the hair started showing up in weird places. Our voices deepened, and we started thinking of sex all the time, 22 times an hour or whatever, some crazy stat. I don't know. I make stats up, but it is some stat of some sort. Maybe someone can let me know what that stat is. All this happens, guys, because our testosterone levels are skyrocketing through the roof, right? That's part of the body's programming, the blueprint, the DNA. There's a certain stage that the body just wants to fire up that production. And, we're at our peak when we're 18 to 20 some years old and stuff like that, right? And then it'll top off, it'll taper off slowly. And if nothing is done about it, right, to maintain it, yes, it will start to regress. But not as dramatic as people want to make out for it, because at the end of the day, what we do also determines how much testosterone our body wants to hold on to and wants to make sure it's producing and stuff, right? So as we get older, a lot of times our lifestyle is what's changing overall. So we're doing less physically. We're more sedentary, which is a fancy word for Netflixing. Our eating, our habits have changed. We're eating a lot of the wrong foods. We're eating a lot of testosterone suppressing foods. Alcohol, that's a big one, guys. Cigarette smoking, a big one. A lot of guys that reach out to me because I have a couple other things that I do as a business and a website and the internet about testosterone and stuff, helping guys out with that. Inevitably, the issue is alcohol, lifestyle, cigarette smoking. So for me, at the time of this recording, we're in the middle of October. I'm just past 3 years sober. Huge difference, guys, in my natural testosterone and how I feel because I'm not suppressing it with alcohol, right? When our body has to deal with alcohol in our system, it has to clear it from our bloodstream. It takes priority. So the liver and the kidneys, especially, but the liver is stuck dealing with it and it won't do anything else. So you can't burn body fat effectively because of it. You're going to store a lot of calories as fat because you're usually eating when you're drinking, and those calories coming in, the body can't do anything with it. And, the organs are busy processing that alcohol, it's going to store fat, right? And it's going to raise estrogen levels. It's going to cause all kinds of grief on that side. And it doesn't matter if you have, 1 beer or 20 beers, is that alcohol has to get cleared, right? So one of the things I always talk to guys that want to maintain their drinking, and it's a big part of what they do. If you have a couple drinks once a week, it's not going to be a big issue. But if you have 2 or 3 drinks every day, well, you're busy dealing with that alcohol. So you're not burning fat, you're not producing testosterone, you're not rebuilding muscle tissue, right? So what happens is you're spending more time outside that environment to maintain testosterone because you're clearing the alcohol. And that's just the fact, guys. A lot of guys don't like hearing that, but that's the truth. And if you look back, the longer you've been drinking, smoking is another one with all the chemicals in that stuff, in the cigarette smoking and tobacco and the things like that, it all hampers and dampens the body's ability to burn fat and produce testosterone. And that's just the way it is. You don't like hearing it. It doesn't make it any different overall. So those are some of the things that have to change, right? And you don't change them, you're not going to see a significant change in your testosterone. And if your T levels don't improve, you're not going to feel good. You're going to actually feel crappy physically. You're going to feel crappy mentally. At the end of the day, that's how important your testosterone is overall. So that whole argument is that, I'm getting older and I have less testosterone. It is true, but it's not the biggest impact as to why we have lower testosterone levels. The other thing, too, guys, is physical activity. When we create or go through physical activity, we're working hard. So I'm not talking about getting up and walking to the kitchen and back. I'm talking about where you're rocking some workouts and stuff, intense workouts, 150 jumping jacks, 50 push-ups, 50 squats. You do that in 10, 20 minutes. That's intense. Well, that intense activity is going to trigger the body to want to produce more testosterone to deal with it. It wants to bring more hormone online. But the double-edged sword of that is that you're also using up testosterone as you're being physically active. So very important that we stay active and we get some intensity in there 2 or 3 times a week so that it creates the need for the body to fire up your growth hormone as well, but specifically your testosterone to meet the needs of the physical endeavors that our body's doing, right? If our body, if our system realizes that we need more hormone support because of what we're doing physically, it's going to signal, hey, we need to produce more testosterone. Which leads me into the next thing. Let's say all that's good. You're physically active. You're doing really well. Your body's calling on your body to produce more testosterone. Well, now we need a couple of other factors to be happening at the same time. First off, we need the building blocks for testosterone. So basically what the body's actually going to use to manufacture the hormone with. And there's 2 important ingredients out there that are super important that we have in our diet and we have consistently and we have in enough abundance. One is protein. The second one is fat. Right? And I know that scares a lot of guys out there because they're worried about their cholesterol and those kind of things. Again, going back to, like we talked about the insulin type 2 diabetes and we talked about testosterone, cholesterol itself is also primarily a lifestyle issue that happens, right? If genetically you have higher than normal cholesterol, your body will adapt to it, but you can eat broccoli all day long and never touch a high-fat food and your cholesterol levels will be naturally higher, right? But for the most of us that have a cholesterol issue that happens as we get older, it's from inactivity, It's from way too much processed foods. It's from way too much sugars and stuff, from too much alcohol, too much stress is where the body raises the bad cholesterol, produces too much of the bad cholesterol and not enough of the good cholesterol. Let's go back to that physical activity. When you do intense activity 2 to 3 times a week, 10 to 35 minutes, right, your body will start manufacturing the good cholesterol that we need out of our system, right? So again, physical activity, once again, saves the day, makes us better, primes the anabolic machine, primes our minds, our spirit, our warrior, whatever. We need the hunter-gatherer experience to happen, except nowadays it happens in the gym with a barbell and a kettlebell, right? So we need to create that stimulus. But the thing to remember is, if we get onto these diets where they're really, fat reducing the diet too much, and I see a lot of older guys that get put on these, low-fat diets, well, the problem with that is if they don't have enough fat coming in, they just can't manufacture testosterone. No matter how much the body wants to build testosterone and is calling on the body to produce more, you're being signaled, so the testicles are supposed to be firing up all kinds of testosterone. The problem is it goes to the cupboard, there's no fats. There's not enough fat in the diet, it can't manufacture it, right? So those of you guys who think that you're doing the right thing by taking the egg yolk out of your eggs because of the cholesterol, you're fucking shit up right there, guys. That's not the stuff that's getting you in trouble. It's the third bowl of ice cream. It's the bag of chips every night. That's the stuff that's messing you up. So cut that stuff out overall, right? We need the good fats. So keep the fat in your eggs. Coconut oils, MCT oils, fats in avocados, fats in fish. We need those fats in our system. We also need it in combination with protein because protein, the amino acids are building blocks as well for testosterone. So your body finally turns on the green light because you're creating the right stimulus in your life to want to produce more testosterone, right? You stopped taking in carcinogens and alcohol that are blocking the testosterone production and manufacturing. So finally, we're at a point where the body's like, yes, let's build some T. Let's build some testosterone. It goes to the cupboard. If there's no protein and fat there when it needs it, you are shit out of luck. It's just not going to happen. So we need to make sure our diet has a high amount of protein in there and it has a good amount of fats, right? Guys, I like to see you guys 150 to 300 grams of protein depending on your body size and your physical activity. Fats anywhere from 50 grams to 120 grams a day depending, again, on your body size and your physical activity, right? And that's where we kind of work it out individually per individual based on where they're at. So you've quit smoking. You're really relaxed on the drinking. You're physically active. You're producing, you're intaking enough protein and fats to make everything happen. But there's still a couple more factors that make a huge difference, guys, right? Timing of the production of your hormones, and again, specifically testosterone, happens in our sleep. It happens in our deep sleep. So what's the other problem that I run into a lot with older guys that are trying to get healthier and stuff like that? They're staying up to 1 or 2 in the morning because they're stressed, or they're binge watching TV, or they're out drinking and boozing and stuff like that, partying, right? The problem is now they're not getting to bed before 1 or 2 in the morning. And then they got to get up at 6 or 7, right? Here we are limiting our time of sleep. And then when we're trying to sleep, what we're trying to do is get into our deep sleep, our REM sleep, the rapid eye movement stage, the stage of dreaming. There's actually cycles your body goes through. And when it's into that REM sleep, that damn REM sleep, is when it actually is able to produce the testosterone. The anabolic hormonal field is ready to go. It's the time the body wants to do all that activity because it's quieter. We're in our deep sleep. Certain systems can come online because we've quieted other systems overall. And we need to go through, and that whole REM cycle, right, takes time for your body to go through. And what we need to do is, and I know Luke and I, we've talked about, doing an episode on sleeping, and I want to get a little more research and maybe find a specialist on that. But basically, we need to sleep long enough and deep enough that we go through that cycle at least 5 times. And that's what it is. It's a cycle. We get deeper, deeper, deeper. We come out of it, and then we go back into it. And it's when we're in that deep sleep, in that REM cycle, that most of the testosterone and growth hormone production will happen. So now we have to make sure that we're stopping the activities that get in the way of testosterone building and fat burning. Then we have to make sure that we're taking in the right ingredients, fat and protein, in the right abundance, right? We've triggered the body to want to produce more testosterone because we've increased our physical activity. Now we have to give it the time, the environment to manufacture it. So again, the deep sleep, super important overall. If we're not getting, and I'm honestly saying a minimum of 7 hours a night, right? we're just not going to get the same thing. I was reading some stuff on some sleep, and I want to do a little more work on that. But what they were suggesting is 6 hours, 7.5 hours, or 9 hours was optimal, because that gave your body enough time to run through those REM cycles. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So on the days where I am a little tighter in sleep, if I'm getting to bed at 1, I set the alarm for 7, because I can't sleep until 9 because I have other stuff going on. So I try to limit, so I hit that 6-hour cycle. And when I follow that, I got to be honest, I feel it. If I can get to bed a little earlier, I don't have to get up as late, as early the next day, I'll set it for the 7.5 hour mark, and I use my phone for that, right? And again, triggering that. So I think there's something to that. I'd have to look into it a little bit more, but the concept basically is getting you into the right amount of REM sleep, getting you through the cycles, and not interrupting a cycle by sleeping for 5 hours or sleeping for 8 hours, right? And we'll have to get into a little more of the reasoning behind why those specific times and that kind of stuff. But I think it's going to be an interesting podcast when we get to that. So that's the important part. So you have to line up all those other things to make a big difference, so that your body can now effectively produce more testosterone, right? Now, one of the things I do get asked a lot too is, are there certain supplements, are there certain treatments out there that you can do to increase overall testosterone, right? There are. There's a few that I really like a lot. I recommend, and we'll put some of that stuff in our show notes a little further on at the end of the show here, that do make a difference. But all those other aspects that we just finished talking about still have to happen overall, right? And that's where I get a little upset when guys decide, hey, I'm going to buy this supplement or this herb and stuff that truly will make a difference, but only if you're taking care of the other issues overall, right? So I have 2 go-tos that I really like. One is Tongkat Ali. Root extract, very important. It's the plant that grows in Malaysia and Indonesia. It's the root of the plant that's super important, right? And basically what they're doing is they grind that up and they create an extract from it. There's different concentrations you can get. But what's really important are some key factors. One is that the tree is at least 10 years old. It's had more time to mature, so it'll have more of the active ingredient in the Tongkat Ali that is the thing that will trigger and signal more for your body to produce. And that's really all some of these products are doing, is that they increase the signaling to the leading cells and fire up the testosterone. So basically they're like, hey, switch this on, switch this on, switch this on, right? Has a huge benefit. Couple of issues overall with the Tongkat is there's a lot of crappy versions out there. There's a lot of weak versions. The strengths aren't enough. I recommend 100-to-1 to 200-to-1 concentrations. In fact, and that's why I didn't do this podcast early on, is I never like to make it sound like it's self-serving, but I have a website that we've been selling our own Tongkat for 7 years now. And I got into it for a simple reason, is that my history in business is with sports supplementation, and we had our own line at one point. We did some things like that. So I got to know a lot of raw material suppliers, good quality raw material suppliers. And basically one guy came into my gym one day asking me if I could get this herb, and I'd never heard of it before. And so he starts telling me about it, and he shows it to me, and he's telling me, there's this thing called Tongkat Ali. He's trying to get it in. He's tried different versions, that kind of thing. But he knew me, and he knew I had the background in that. So he said, hey, Kurt, can you look into this for me? So I said, sure. So I made a couple calls to some key raw material guys in Canada, and that's really important as well. And I'll explain to that in a little bit why. I said, hey, what do you guys know about this? And a couple of them got back to me. One guy says, oh, actually, it's a really good product. We have a really good source for it. The quality's really good, but it's quite expensive. So I'm like, all right. So I started looking into it and getting some pricing. And when the guy told me the pricing of it, and I started asking my buddy what he was paying, it didn't quite make sense that he was paying so cheap for some of the stuff he was getting, if it was real based on the raw material cost that I was being told it was for that quality. So I looked into it a little bit more, and then down the line, I told my buddy, listen, I can get it for you, but it's going to be this, and you have to get a minimum of this. And again, because he knows and likes and trusts me, he's like, Kurt, I'll take 6 bottles, let's go. And I'm like, all right, I'll do 6 bottles and, myself, and we'll try it. And that's how I started bringing in and producing our own, well, not producing, but basically coming out with our own Tongkat Ali extract. So we have a website called puretongkatali.com. Luke's going to put that in the show notes. And I've been selling it for 7 years. I sell it across the country. I sell it into the States as well. And we sell more and more every year because the guys that are looking for the good quality stuff and find us are really happy with the results. But there's a couple things I have to go back to on that. If you're not doing some of the other things to change up your lifestyle and provide some of the key ingredients you need for your body to manufacture testosterone, taking something like a signaling factor, like a really good Tongkat Ali, is really going to limit its capabilities. And sometimes it's not enough to overcompensate for all the crappy stuff you're doing to your body. Right? So if you want to continue drinking a ton and smoking a ton and not being healthy and being in exercise, I'll tell you right now, don't even bother taking any of these type of products because you're really, really wasting your time. It's unfortunate because some of the sites out there will promote it as, hey, take this and it's going to solve all your problems. And you know what? It's not, guys. It's not going to compensate enough for a lot of the other stuff that you're doing that's negatively affecting your body. You really have to take a stand and start correcting those things. And that's only if you want to have an increased testosterone, improve your libido, have a better sex life, have energy, feel better, burn fat, build muscle. If that's what you want to do, then you've got to clean some of those things out of your system, right? And that's where, as we get older, that's where it makes the big difference. Right? We got away with a lot of that stuff when we were 18 and 19 because we had so much testosterone going on. But yet, even if we look back, we didn't have 20 years of drinking in our system at that point, or hopefully not by the time we're 18, that kind of thing. So it didn't have time to really have all those negative effects on our body. But now that we're into our 40s and our 50s and we've had some of those bad habits around for 10, 20, 30 years, right? That's taking a toll on your body. That's taking a toll on your system. That's taking a toll on your hormones. And you know what, guys? You're going to have to remove that activity to start to repair and fix those things. Now, if you do that and you start cleaning that aspect up, something like a good quality Tongkat will work, I'd say, for about 80-85% of the guys out there that are truly making those changes. I had a guy the other day order a bottle and he emailed me 2 weeks later. He goes, "Oh, it's not working, man. I've been taking it every day like you told me and nothing's changing." So right off the bat, with my experience with it and with guys, having issues, I'm like, well, tell me what's going on. Ends up telling me the story. He's been a hard partier for the last 20 years. And he stopped drinking. I said, great. I said, how long? He goes, 2 weeks ago. And he goes, I said, how long have you been taking the Tongkat? He goes, 2 weeks ago. And I'm like, dude, there's no way you're undoing 20 years of garbage in your system and abuse on your organs and on your hormone production in 2 weeks, no matter what you're taking. It doesn't work. But you know what? There's that mentality out there that, I can do all this crap and all this shit to my system, and then I just take this one wonder thing and it's going to change everything. And guys, it just doesn't work that way. Now, I have, for as many times as I run into that, I've got so many guys that contact me and tell me how much of an improved, life they're seeing because their testosterone levels are coming back online. But they are exercising more. They are eating better. They're increasing, what they need to increase in their diet. They're increasing their physical activity. And now that they're taking a cool product that works really well, that's good quality, it's helping them get there. It's making a difference. But guys, there's a lot they have to do on their own to make it happen overall. Right? So if you're interested in that product, guys, like I said, it's going to be in the show notes. You can check it out. I'll put a 20% discount on that, Silverback. Use that discount code and you get 20% off on your purchase on that. Check it out. If you have any questions on it, just let me know and I'll be happy to answer those. The second product I think is really important is one that we have from a company called Advanced Genetics. And it's a product they have called Go Dark. And, they have like a military theme with all the products that they do and the things that they have. And so the term go dark means go quiet, right? And it's a sleep product that they have. So in that product, they've got ZMA, zinc magnesium aspartate. Again, a couple important things. The zinc is important to have in your system to help produce testosterone as well, right? And if you eat a lot of broccoli and those coniferous, not coniferous, what's the word I'm looking? Yeah, cruciferous. I can't say it, but basically broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts, asparagus. There's lots of zinc in there on their own. So again, it's good. You should have that in your diet anyway. But there's some zinc in there, super absorbable form. The magnesium is really cool because it actually helps you get into your sleep pattern faster, into a deeper sleep quicker. That's one of the things the guys notice. And there's a couple other cofactors in there. There's a little bit of tribulus and a couple other products that'll help signal your testosterone a little bit as well, production. But what's really important is this product goes back into what I was talking about getting you into a deeper quality sleep, getting you into your REM sleep faster, and helping you stay there longer or for more cycles so that when you're in that situation, that's when your body is going to want to and be able to produce more testosterone, provided You've got the food that you need, the nutrition you need. You're taking away all the things getting in the way, like the toxins from cigarette smoking and alcohol and stuff that, get in the way of testosterone production. And, you've got the desire in the body to do it because of the physical activity and something, like a Tongkat that's signaling, is basically saying, hey guys, fire up more testosterone through the pathway and stuff. The Go Dark, it just helps you do that. So that's the kind of product I keep on my bathroom counter. So as I'm getting ready for bed, I pop the capsules as I brush my teeth, drink them down. And you know what? Within 20, 30 minutes, I start to get the nods, right? It's helping me get into the sleep. Now, the TV's not blaring at this point, right? I'm not playing Candy Crush at this point. I'm reading, having a conversation with my wife. I'm starting to really just slow things down. I take the Go Dark, and it really starts to, get me a little drowsier. The magnesium start to take effect, right? And what it's doing is just moving me into that sleep pattern, getting me there a little bit faster, a little deeper, and a little bit longer, so that while I'm there, my body has more opportunity to manufacture testosterone. So again, show notes, we'll put that on as well, where you can get that from my other website. Great product. You might be able to find that locally if you're listening to me from afar, that kind of thing. With any of this stuff, guys, if you have any questions, email me, kurthaas@gmail.com. Let me know what's going on, and I'll do my best to really help you get started on the right foot. But really what I wanted to do with this podcast, guys, is let you know the importance of testosterone, right? It's the hormone that makes all the difference for us as guys. Why, there's problems with it as we get older, and a lot of it is that lifestyle stress-related stuff as well. Couple of things we need to do physically and nutritionally to help get our body firing it back up more effectively, and then getting into the sleep, and a couple of key products that will help you do it at a higher level, provided you're doing the other things as well. So the sum total is far more powerful than any of these steps on their own. But guys, it does make a difference. And I've seen a lot of guys make a big change in it, right? And I'll tell you right now, when your testosterone levels come back online, you feel better. You have more energy. You want to get shit done. Your libido will increase, right? Your mental focus will increase. How you feel inside, your mood will improve, right? The weights, you'll start lifting 5 pounds heavier. You'll recover faster. Muscles will start to tighten. The skin will start to tighten. Those things really happen with testosterone. Super, super important, guys. We'll come back and do some more talks on this down the line. We'll look at getting into the sleep thing a little bit more as well. Like I said, if you have questions, send it to me at the email. If there's a couple cool ones in there, I'll turn them into a podcast episode as well. But this is something, guys, that, of all the other things we've been working on, the mindset, the physicalness, working on different stuff, super important. This is another key component that you need to add to your arsenal in your day-to-day activity to really start bringing things to the next level. Because if your T levels come back online, you have more energy, you're ready to get more shit done, and you're going to deal with things a lot better, right, guys? It's all about rebuilding. It's about creating the best version of ourselves. Guys, that's all I got for now on this. Head on over to iTunes or check it out at the bottom of your episode if you're using an iTunes app on your iPhone, and rate us, give us 5 stars, give us some feedback, give us some love, and I'll talk to you guys later.